This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into the Draft Room podcast right here on MVP Sports. I'm here with my co-host, David Oster. Dave, how's it going?
It's going great. We are in the midst of March Madness. We are right now just about the end of the first game of Friday night on March 29th.
Dave, I got an interesting question for you to start off the podcast.
What we got?
You have to pick out of these three players your favorite performance yet of March. Your choices are Golke of Oakland, Newton from Alabama, or Ben Middleton from the North Carolina State Wolfpack. All three guys, no one knew their names before March. Or Domask from Illinois.
I knew Domas beforehand, so that feels like cheating in this situation. I gotta take Golke. I mean, he came out and just showed Kentucky
1-2 all year.
He just showed Kentucky just how much a 25-year-old can dominate 18-year-olds. It was great. It was great. That man was ripping off screens, hitting the wildest shots you could ever imagine, and they were just going in at 50% clip. And they were just playing 4-on-4 out there because they were Reed Shepherd is guarding him this far away. Yeah. He's just face up, not looking anywhere else. The rest of the court exists, but Golke is all that matters. And they're playing 4-on-4. It was the most ridiculous game from a team with so many top prospects and to a team that I don't think 8 people knew that Oakland wasn't in California.
Oh,
we're Oakland.
I'm one of the ones
Michigan.
that knew.
Yeah, you are one of the few.
Because I'm one of the degens that watches MEAC basketball. I know they're not from the MEAC, but I watch the MEAC. St. Peter's, Ryder, sweating Ryder minus 1.5 in their conference tournament.
Yeah, you got a problem. You definitely have a problem.
It's not a problem if you're winning.
True.
It's not a problem if you're winning. What other weird conferences? Like Grand Canyon. I knew about them before. Everyone's like, oh man, Grand Canyon. I'm like, dude, you've been watching Grand Canyon? You're behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah.
You're behind the 8 ball. What was it? Ivy League? I'll be honest. I don't watch Ivy. I don't bet on Ivy League. I don't watch Ivy League in the season.
They're up too late.
It's not even up too late. It's just I don't trust it. It's Ivy League spreads. It's like Yale and Princeton are at the top, so they're 13.
Princeton's very good.
They're -13 or higher favorites, so it's I'm not going to bet on that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a very interesting and fun tournament. We're going to be talking about one of the guys from the tournament and then some others that we like at the end. But before we do, quick housekeeping. Number 1, Discord down below. 2, Patreon. We're live for the patrons. You can check it down below. Basic membership. We today, little bit longer than usual, but we just sat here and chilled. Talked with the patrons. You get to see us before the podcast. You get to see us in a different light before we start talking about, what did you say, Dave? Round ball? Round ball rock is what you called it. While we were in that pre-show. But you can check out all of our perks down below in the description. Sub button, like button, comments down below, and also check us out on social media. MVP.vids on TikTok, Most Valuable Pod on Instagram, and MVP_vids on Twitter are the main 3. I hope those are right. Here's the thing. I know those usernames are right. I know the Instagram one is right for sure. I think underscore is Twitter, dot is TikTok. I think
they'll be in the description below.
They will be, because I probably screwed something up. But Dave, who we're taking a look with, what the title of this video is, has to do with a guy who, I'll be honest, I'm surprised Tankathon has him lower than they did pre-tournament, because if you're looking at his last game that he played yesterday, he'll play, as this is going live for everyone, he plays the same day as the UConn will most likely beat my Illinois Fighting Illini. We'll see how. We'll see if this guy gets taken to the danger zone, Dave.
Oh, I love it.
It's going to be danger versus Donovan Clingan. And Dave, I'm going to ask you: has Donovan Clingan this March played himself into a top 5 pick in the NBA draft.
I want to say yes so badly. I want to say yes so badly. And you know what? He's right on the cusp. Okay.
Mhm.
And it's a combination of things. Let's get this out of the way. We watch one. I like how we're like starting with Clingan, and I'm going to go instantly to Reed Shepherd had a stinker. So instantly, a lot of people are dropping his stock.
Mhm.
Turns out a 6'1" kid who got embarrassed by Golke, of all people. He had won. I mean, Coach Cal, that disaster of a end of a season will live on in infamy. We'll see if he returns. But Reed had his worst game of the year, and I think a lot of people are second guessing, what he actually can't do on a court. If that was, the spotlight performance of the year for him, which I know it shouldn't be, and it's not, because it's just one game out of the 30 something he played, but still, so he falls. Dillingham didn't look great, didn't look bad, probably not, whatever. Still haven't seen a single game out of my boy at the top. So a lot of question marks, a lot of fallers. Reese Shea's been on a cold streak shooting. So I think a lot of the names at the top, not been favorable. Matas, still kind of, people aren't buying it because he's still not knocking down threes consistently. There's just Cody. What do you think? Cody's falling off a little too. I know he's been hurt, quote unquote hurt. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of unknowns. And I think that the known is that Donovan Clingan is the best center in college basketball. Donovan Clingan is a really, I want to say a really good rebounder. I want to say great for a second. He's a really good rebounder. He's a really good facilitator out of the post. And for someone who can pass the ball as well as he can, he has great court vision, good touch, and just a defensive stalwart out there, being able to block shots at the rate that he is. He's not quite Walker Kessler, like insane shot percentage for blocks, but he's not a slouch. Okay. He's not a slouch.
Yeah.
So I think that with all the unknowns, the fact that this man's medical was the only thing that was kind of the unknown. I get it. Big man, scary medical. But he's been nothing but dominant. I mean, yes, Ledee did abuse some situational matchups with him, San Diego State matchup, for those who didn't watch. But they also didn't give him a chance to really run as like the primary guy. Like Connecticut is just a team game of basketball. It's well-rounded. Everybody's getting touches. Everyone's taking shots. So you didn't see the focus there, which I wish they would have given him a little bit more to shine on, because he had a great game against Marquette. He had a great game against Stetson. Northwestern was fine. Like they beat the piss out of. That's UConn. They're just dominant. So you don't see him rack up these numbers. So you go like, okay, if this man's going to play Magic World where he doesn't foul out, there's no conditioning issues. If he gives you 30 minutes a night, I think I'll take the guy who can go 20, 10, and 4, 20, 10, and 5 maybe, and like 2 blocks. I don't think that's asking too much out of him. It's just going to be a question on like the minutes and usage. But like as far as a known product in college basketball, I don't know that there's like a better one, right? Am I crazy?
Well, there's 2 things that I think about. Is one, and this is kind of a quick aside before I get into them, is that Northwestern game, I was getting so annoyed because there were times Northwestern played the defense right on him, but there were so many times I was getting flashbacks of Kofi Coburn and Ayo Dosunmu where he would come up, I'm going to set the pick in the pick and roll. As soon as the guard would go around, he would dump to the basket, and there'd be no pass to him. Yeah. And let's be honest, I had Clingan points in that game, which I did get, but let's be honest, I'm like, why are we not trying to hit the big man? He rolls, if he's open, hit him, put up to 2. Like, and it's not that like could be bread and butter.
He's 7'2".
Yeah. Even when he's not open, he's open.
Thank you.
Here's the thing with Clingan. There's 2 things that I worry about. One is nothing in his control. Team needs. And like I look at this, like the Pistons are a team that I look at where many people, number one, mock Sar to the Pistons. Soapy has said numerous times, and Soapy's watching now, that he just wants somebody that can shoot the ball. That's all he wants. They have Beef Stew. They don't technically need a center. But if let's say worst of the worst happens, Pistons fall to 4, or if they're 2 and they fall to 5, Could they take a swing on Clingan? Would that be the worst thing in the world?
Yes. Yes, it would be.
It could be.
You have to trade out of Duren, which they love, or beef stew.
Yeah.
You can't. And they're stuck with Wiseman still, I think.
Mm-hmm. No, I think he's up at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's off the books. But like every other team, Wizards, Spurs, Blazers, like it's like what team is going to be the perfect fit that will be there at 5 or even 6? I don't know. It's going to take a team like like you said, the Wizards would love them. Well, guess what?
Center.
Well, guess what? They're going to have to then fall from 2 to 5, which could happen. But what's the odds of that happening? That's the thing. The second thing I look at, and I brought it up to you before we started, he's a guy who's only taken 6 attempts from beyond the arc this year. Not saying that's his bread and butter. He's hit 2 of the 6, where if you're looking percentage, hey, for a big man, 33% ain't bad. But he's only taken 6-3. And the thing that I look at, and I'm not comparing him to these guys specifically, it's more of the role that they play on their teams. I asked this question, and maybe I'll ask you this, Dave. What if you're Donovan Clingan, what do you want to be? Do you want to be Clint Capella? Or do you want to be Jonas Valanciunas? Do you want to be that big where I'm just down low, I block shots, get rebounds, score in the paint? Or do you want to be that guy who can block shots, get rebounds, score in the paint? Oh, but also I can stretch out and hit a 3 every now and then. I can go 1 of 2 from 3, maybe 2 of 3 from 2 if I need to. I can take a 3 and it's not the worst thing in the world. Your team's not going, no.
I think that's probably the line of where he's at. Like, he did make a public effort to like try his 3-point shot during the summer. But it never really hit consistent. And again, we see this out of bigs every year. You know, they will give it an attempt in college. They'll give it a couple shots up, but they'll never really get the opportunity to take threes loose. And especially in a system under, oh my God, why can't I think of UConn's head coach's name? It's an H. Hurley. Bobby Hurley.
Dan Hurley.
Right? Dan Hurley.
Bobby Hurley's with Arizona State.
Thank you.
I think it is.
I think you're right.
Bobby Hurley, because Bobby Hurley was the one that played at Duke, right?
He did.
We're
gonna wait on this one.
Yeah. Bobby Hurley's at Arizona State. Dan Hurley's at UConn.
Dan Hurley. Thank you. It's one of the best run programs right now in college basketball. Obviously, they're coming off a national championship in which he was a matchup nightmare last year off the bench, filling in for Sanogo, which Bulls fan, Sanogo, been killing in the G League the entire year, and we refuse to give him a minute in the NBA. That's a different problem for a different day of Bulls therapy. But look, they're one of the highest 3-point. I think they're the highest 3-point shooting percentage team, like, or volume in college basketball. They're just a really well-run, polished system on both ends of the court. So the fact that he's not taking threes, I don't really dock him for it because I don't think it's something that they envision in their system to work. I think the whole point is to drag people in, know that there's a matchup nightmare in him. If they don't double him, guess what? It's going to be a problem. Okay, if they're going to play zone defense, we have answers. We have floor spacing. We have Cam Spencer coming off backdoor cuts. We've got all this movement off ball. Like, they are just a very well-run offense. And I think that his role on that team was never going to be to stretch out the floor and shoot threes.
Yeah.
So I think it could be different in the NBA. I do think he can let it rip. I think it might take a couple years for him to get there, but I do think that, like, the 3-point shot's not out of consideration for him.
The other question I have floating in my head, and this is kind of I want to say it's kind of a troll question. It's also because I'm still a little salty that this guy has never been given a shot and is playing in China right now. Is the only reason why he's not getting the Kofi Coburn treatment is because he's 2 years younger than Kofi was. Because, like, I look, then the reason why I asked, because I was thinking about this today in the shower, I thought to myself,
weird shower thoughts.
I would have to look at the numbers exactly, but looking at their play styles, guys that are very dominant around the rim, grab rebounds, can work in the pick and roll, don't shoot threes. The only difference the two differences that I can see, Kofi Coburn was way more jacked than Clingan is.
Big boy.
And 2, Clingan is 20 coming out in the draft where Coburn was 22. Like, there's a part of me that goes, is he going to develop what he needs to do? Because let's be honest, Coburn wasn't going to be able to develop that 3 shot that he needed.
Weird to you that Kofi came out as a junior?
Yep.
That's just bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
But Kofi was also much heavier than Clingan.
Yeah.
I think he was maybe 30 pounds heavier. That's a big deal in the center world. And again, like you said, he was a big dude, but he was also only 7 feet tall. And Clingan is 7'2" and 30 pounds lighter. His hips move better. His feet move better. He's just much more mobile. Kofi is old school basketball. If it was the 90s, Kofi Coburn goes in the lottery.
Yeah.
Like, he is just that kind of a center.
Hi, everybody. Just want to take a quick moment out of today's podcast to tell you about our sponsor for today, BETUS, a sports book that has it all, whether it's basketball, hockey, football, soccer, whatever you like to bet on, BETUS has you covered. And they are offering our viewers and listeners today a 125% sign-up bonus just for using our link down below in the description. So go ahead, use that link down below and get your 125% sign-up bonus, BETUS. And now, let's get back to the podcast.
But Clingan has the mobility enough to move and hustle, and he doesn't drag the whole team behind with him. I think that's the biggest difference for me. Like, look at the two of them. Clingan's better shot blocker, but again, he's just bigger, longer, you know? So it comes with the territory, just the frame. I do think it was always weird that Coburn played stocky. I'm going to say stocky is the term for it, because it felt like they leaned on him to just dominate the paint back when they were 2-man game in that Illinois. But I feel like with Clingan, it's not the same. Like, he's got a soft touch and he's got the ability to pass really well in the post, which I think Kofi never really picked up on. He was more of a play finisher than
Well,
else.
If it was going down to Kofi, he was going to jam it.
It wasn't coming back out. Yeah,
he was jamming it.
That's the difference. Clingan will get a pass the high post, and he'll look, and he will look, and he'll scan the field. He might dribble 1-2 and then decide to either pass, floater, or whatever. But it's always the fact that he's got the option, the capability to make those additional plays and reads and passes. I think that's part of the separator for it.
Also, I mean, too, and I'll ask this: does team success play in with Clingan? Because let's be completely honest.
2 national championships would be a pretty high precedent.
Yeah, he is going to, you and I both have UConn to win the title. I know they're playing as this will come out, but we have them both as our favorite to win. I'm not going to be upset, Dave, if they don't, only if they lose on Saturday. It's the only way I'm going to not be upset if they don't win it all, is if my Illini beat them. And then my Illini obviously win it all.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool for you. Yeah, and we'll talk about your Illini and a couple guys who proved a lot. But yeah, I don't think that it's necessary. I think that he's had a year and 3/4 year in, whatever success, transitioning from that backup big who is a change of pace to somebody who they're counting on for more often in the game. And again, remember, he started this year with an injury. There's setbacks for this guy, and he has overcome. And then when you watch it all click, you're just like, he's so dominant out there. And it just turns into why you can see it. You see every part of what makes him just a super, super strong player. And you're like, in a year when everything is an unknown and people are talking about Dalton Connect being a top 10 pick because he's at least, he's a shooter. It doesn't matter that he's 23, 24. Who cares? He can do one thing at a really high level. He's a 3-level scorer in the NBA, probably. That's what he should be able to do. Why are we not talking about Donovan Clingan as he's literally a starting center tomorrow? You could put him in on 10 teams this year. He would start.
I think it's
or
because
at least 20 minutes a night.
Well, I think it's because on how many teams would he be, would they have the need for him to be the number one? That's the big thing for me. How many of them have that need of we need a number one center? The only one I can kind of maybe think of because of rotations is the Thunder, where I've had him mocked to the most, because I would just love him and Chet next to each other.
On the Twin Towers, yeah.
But like, there's not a lot of teams I can think of off of the top of my dome that are like, we need a center. Go ahead. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Detroit, no, they've got Dern and Beef Stew and Wiseman. Sake, who knows? Washington is a yes. They have no center. San Antonio, I don't think they stick him next to Wemby. Charlotte has Mark Williams and Nick Richards. I don't think they would take him. Portland has two bigs as well, but both of them could be traded. I wouldn't rule Portland out, even though I would rather do other things with their bigs. Toronto absolutely needs him. Toronto needs him. So there's two teams. Memphis would absolutely love to have him. Love to have Clingan in Memphis. Especially, I mean, they traded Steven Adams, so right now they have like no starting centers on the roster.
Then I'll ask you this. I'll ask you this. Just interject real quick. If those two teams would need him, how do most people have him? Like Tankathon has him falling all the way to 13. How does he go past the Raptors or the Grizzlies then?
I think the Raptors are always drafting for wings. That feels like they're always looking for the do-it-all wing, right?
That's the Masai way.
The Masai Ujiri way is the do-it-all wing. So I would expect them to go for a jumbo ball handler. Shocker here. They went with Grady Dick last year to get some spacing and some shooting. I'm glad he's popped off to end the year. Obviously the greatest jersey swap in NBA history. But like there are a lot of needs on that roster, and RJ Barrett, IQ Quickly have had really good runs with the Raptors. Obviously both had tragedies happen in their family, so like both missing time. Really unfortunate. And then they brought over Ochai Agbaji on a dirt cheap deal too. So like they've got a bunch of guys who are smaller now, so I think they need to fill out like the big wing combo. And I think that honestly they should go with the big and Clingan. But we'll see. Memphis, same thing. Because they missed so hard on Zaire, then everybody's like trying to fill that void at the 3 for them. But I think they probably are going to play 3-guard lineups. They got Marcus Smart for a reason, and now they've got 2 more guys in. Oh my God, why can I not remember his name? The second round pick who I really liked, who became a great G League player. He's been popping off for them in the season.
I'm pulling up the roster.
The name is going to kill me on Memphis. And then GG Jackson now popping off. So I feel like they've got a couple, like they're going to play smaller with 3 guards, and then they've got a couple good big wings if they want to space it out, but they need a center.
You're talking about guys that are rookies this year?
Yes.
Is it a rookie? GG Jackson and
technically I think he might be.
Is it Vince? It's not Vince Williams.
Vince, yeah, it's Vince Williams.
Okay.
Yep.
Vince Williams Jr.
Yeah. It's my boy. Yep. He was one I was super high on as a prospect going into the draft. It was like he flashed a bunch of skills, and it's like needs time, but he's got all it takes. Yeah. And then guess what? They fed him in the G League, and they're just like, you're playing 30 minutes a night. You are the whole show, run the show. And then he got the opportunity, obviously, with all the injuries this year. So like Memphis, I feel like they could go wing, but they need a big badly, whether it's free agency or both. So I think 7 is a good stopping point for them. But again, like Houston, we're seeing a lot of talk around Alper and Şengün, and the need of a backup. Jacques Landale. I know he's played good as of late. I don't buy it. Utah,
because they have Kessler. It's like what their backcourt is: Kessler and Markkanen. Front court.
But yeah.
I just thought that was weird that the back. Like to me, it was like you come down front court, back court. I've always had that discrepancy, but I know what one is.
They got a bunch of guys. Could be, don't know. Atlanta absolutely could use a real center. Don't think that anyone there would argue. But I don't watch Atlanta basketball according to our Atlanta fans, so they can go themselves. Chicago.
Dave coming hot.
Obviously, we need a center. I'm sorry, the feedback from that video really gets me going sometimes. Chicago could use a center because we're not going to pay Drummond. Okay, see, you mocked it.
I think,
and then New Orleans. I think there's literally like 5 teams in the lottery who could take him. I'm not saying they need to, but I'm saying they could take him.
Then when I bring it up, I was saying like, who's the team we need? Memphis. Like that big need, and it's like
Memphis.
And like how many teams, even if center is the big need,
What is the value of a center in the NBA right now?
Exactly. Like how many go, we can get that later, or we can find that somewhere else. Like we let's take this other guy who has different skills that might be able to help us in other areas rather than a dominant center.
We get a plug and play center and Bufu, and don't worry about it, don't have to pay him a big deal. Look, the best centers in the NBA are generational. They are game changers. They are world changers. They're what set up a franchise for success. Wings are the biggest value, obviously, because they're so durable. They're so versatile. And the skill set is so they do everything for you nowadays. And obviously you can't go anywhere without a point guard. So like it is really down to a 3-position game sometimes. And I think the big difference maker is if you don't have a center who you think can be generational, you can't afford to pay him that kind of money, a la DeAndre Ayton. He's the shining example of shouldn't pay me money because I don't care enough. And I think that as long as you avoid that situation, you're doing great. Rudy Gobert, for all the he gets, is a generational talent defensively. There is no one who's been, able to do what he's been doing. Like you could talk to Kembe, sure, like different era. What he's doing now is incredible though. And again, like that's just on one side of the game. So if you think Clingan can be that guy, great. But like the whole point is this is a rookie contract for someone with the upside to be maybe one of the best. Do you think he could be one of the best centers? I don't know. But if you think he could be, so in a draft of unknowns, you're getting a rookie deal for 5 years.
Here's the thing I think about, and this will piss some people off, but I don't care. Yeah. If we look at the last 5 teams to win the finals, you have the Denver Nuggets, who their center was Nikola Jokic. Okay, that's an anomaly.
He should be 3-time MVP.
Because Jokic is the best center in the league right now. And he's not even best center. One of the top 5, if not top 3, like depending on how you value him, players in the league. Then you have the Golden State Warriors, who I believe Looney 2 years ago was their center.
Yeah, it was a combo of Looney and Drummond.
Yeah.
Not Drummond, Draymond.
Then you had 2021, the Bucks. That was Brolo. It was Brolo. So you have Brolo. Then the Lakers, who it's
defensive player of the year run almost that year.
Then it's the Lakers with AD. So AD is
kind of generational,
one of the best. And then the Raptors, who that was Siakam. No, was that Siakam? Was he playing center that time when they beat the Warriors? I know that Clay got injured, and that's the only reason they won. We should be talking about the Warriors, but the Raptors with Kawhi, was that Pascal?
Did play some center for them, but I'm blanking on it.
Marc Gasol. Gasol was on that team.
There? Yeah,
I'm looking at the roster. Gasol was on the team.
It was a corpse of Gasol. Yeah. Yes.
So, like, what out of those 5? You have two of the top centers ever. You have Brolo, who has the skills that we want.
Fantastic. He's literally the perfect center for the NBA. The only problem is his back disintegrated and he's 37. But you get a 3-point shooting, incredible shot blocker, who can rebound well, who's smart, who can pass. Like I think that's it.
That's what he needs. He needs an outside shot.
I think that's not.
He doesn't need to be a dead-eye outside shot. He needs to be capable.
Something you can build to is the thing I'm saying. Like, because I think he, I think that I'll look it up, but I think that there's like a thing on him actually like trying to work it into his game. So like he has made an effort to do it. I just think that UConn was not the place where it's ever going to happen. It's kind of like Cat. Remember how many threes Cat shot in college?
Yeah.
I'll look it up because I don't think it was many.
So
he was a defensive prospect.
Dave, if I even go next level, the teams that lost in the finals those 5 years, you have the Miami Heat, who their center was Bam Adebayo, one of the top players in the league.
Yeah, he's also like 6'8".
You had the Boston Celtics, who at the time it was. What was it? Al Horford and the Time Lord? And the Time Lord.
Okay. Took 8.
Yeah. And now look at him.
He's the greatest 3-point shooter. Well, not the greatest, but he's one of the best 3-point shooting bigs in the history of the league.
Yeah. Boston had the Time Lord, Robert Williams, and Horford were their 2 centers. You had the Suns, who their center, that was Ayton, that they had that year. the Miami Heat again, who was Bam Adebayo, and then the Golden State Warriors, who that year was the Andrew Bogut, DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh God!
And
Cousins
Damian
came
Jones.
back in the finals. That's right. That was rough.
Bogut, Cousins, and Damian Jones were the listed centers.
Yeah, it was Draymond Green. Like that. That was the small ball death lineup. Shenanigans era.
So it's like to make the finals, like the Warriors are different because like they have arguably some of the best players to ever play the game.
Yeah. I just think it's hard to say the finals is your barometer because you look at the success of teams, you just look at the luck of some of the runs people have had with injuries and whatnot. Yeah. Like Joel Embiid is one of the best centers in the NBA, has been for a long time, but he's not healthy enough, which I think is the only like red flag for Clingan. But again, he's one of the top centers. Domantas Sabonis, one of the top centers. Şengün, one of the top centers. Obviously Jokic, one of the top centers. Like you look at the guys who are at the top of every like the centers are fantastic. They're fantastic and they're taking over. And that's why I think that like trying to find the next guy who's like, I mean, obviously Wemby will be that guy. He's Jesus Christ.
Two things from the comment section. Soapy says, first off, Brolo's the perfect center for the modern NBA.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he said he thinks Clingan is going to be a below league average 3-point shooter.
I mean, if he can hit 33%, that would be great.
I'm saying, like, at the very least, like, I'm not saying be Cat. I'm looking at Jonas Valanciunas as, like, the bottom line. Be a guy.
Nikola Vucevic should be the bottom line of 3-point shooters. He is the worst.
Well, I mean, the reason why I say Valanciunas is be capable of shooting a three, even if you're only going to take 1 or 2 attempts a game, and hit one of them. Yep. If you take two attempts a game, at least be able to hit one of them. That's a Valanciunas game.
An all-time shooter.
That's definitely, like, there's sometimes Valley does like 2 of 3, like he shot 3 or 4, but usually it's like, because I used to bet on his prop for threes, it was always going to take 3, he might hit 2, but most of the time he was taking 2, hits 1 for sure. Let's branch away, Dave. We've talked about 30 some minutes on Clingan. I want to ask you about a guy that's very near and dear to my heart, obviously. I am very happy with this team. Brad Underwood is no longer the worst coach in college football or college basketball in my mind. I have had a come to Jesus moment with Brad Underwood. We're now friends because of this tournament run. It's kind of brought us together in a way. How high do you think Terrence Shannon Jr.'s performance is bringing him? Because there's a part of me that goes, he's having a great tournament, but is this just proving that he is what he is and he's a downhill scorer, and that's mainly what you're going to draft is a phenomenal downhill scorer? Not
only, I just think he's just a great scorer in general. Like I don't know that I would just say downhill, but he does. I mean, he attacks. He absolutely does. And let me just hashtag on the court. You just gotta get that out of the way early on for that particular person. But look, he is one of the best scorers in college basketball. Yeah, he's an upperclassman. No, that doesn't matter at all this year, apparently. So I genuinely don't know what separates him from being the next like combo off the floor after Dalton Connector. Like, do you think he should be looked at as a peer to Dalton? Because I think that like Dalton has like the ability to get hot, but like, I mean, this guy's tournament run from conference tourney, 28, 40, 34, 26, 30, 29. And his shooting splits for both tourneys combined is 52, 41, 82. Those are elite splits.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just a bucket. Had to give that one. It really emphasizes the point that he's also averaging 11 free throws a game. What is wrong? Where's the issue? The effort on defense sometimes? Sure. Could he play defense if he tried to? Yeah, absolutely. Can Dalton connect? Haven't seen that. Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, we're talking about a guy who was during the conference tourney and the NCAA March Madness, 7 threes a game, 40%, almost 8 threes a game. What am I missing? Is it like, if you're just drafting the guy on the court, throw away all the off-court shenanigans. How is he not a peer of Dalton Connect? How is he not right there? What do you see in Dalton's game that you don't see? Like, what's the upside of Dalton's game that you don't get out of a Terrence Shannon Jr.?
Now I'm looking to the stats real quick, and my tablet is being ESPN's being real finicky.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know, because the one thing I was thinking is you were reading off the 3 numbers, and I was like, tournament, small size. Tournament's not everything.
Yeah,
obviously you got to look at the whole year. But like you look at Dalton Connect this year, 39% from 3. Terrence Shannon Jr. 36 or not 26, 36% from 3. So it's like I was expecting those numbers to be the big difference. To me, honestly, I have no idea. And to me, it's one of those things where the one thing that I think Terrence Shannon Jr., I'm talking too fast. One of the things that I think about him, could he go higher than where Tankathon still has him, and I don't know when they did this, how many March games had. They still have him 24. Now, I don't know if in mock drafts, we're talking on the court, but obviously people drafting, they're going to think off the court because that plays into it. But talking solely on the court, after this March, I don't know why he couldn't be and in my mock, I had him to the 76ers in my mock when I did it. You can go on Patreon when you do mocks.
Further behind.
And
I think I had him pretty close.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I could see him being at highest a mid-teen pick.
Yeah.
Where a team, the thing that I think he fits right away out the gate is we need a scorer off the bench. We need a guy to be our main scorer off the bench. Maybe he doesn't like day one come in and do it, but he's our guy, spark plug off the bench when the point guard or the main guy who runs the offense is not out there. Or if it's kind of a situation, because Illinois has kind of done it where like Domask isn't really the main ball handler, but he kind of facilitates the offense and is the one getting most of the assists.
Yeah.
Like, I think people are sleeping on Terrence Shannon Jr. And it might be because of what you talked about, age. That might be the only reason why he's not Dalton Connect, because Dalton Connect is what? Looking here, he's 22 and Terrence Shannon is 23. So Shannon's got a year on him. That's not even that big of a difference.
Their birthdays are set up like it's not even that big of a difference.
According to, and Tankathon could be wrong, they have been in the past.
Oh, they got the point years.
Yeah, so Connect is 22.9. Okay, and so Shannon Jr. is 23.7. So they're almost a year apart. Just shy.
Yep.
But it's like you said, it's not that big. It's not that big of a difference. Yeah. It's less than a year.
Yeah, especially considering Terrence Shannon Jr. plays some defense and Dalton Connect plays no defense.
Does he get the benefit of the doubt because of the team he plays for? Is that what you're thinking?
No, everyone knows that Tennessee covers up for him. I feel like that's
then why is he that much like? Let's figure this out together. What do you think? Because I'm baffled. Like you bring it up, and I'm like, I didn't think about that. I'm baffled.
I think it's the fact that he's just a flamethrower at times. Like when he gets hot, he gets the hot hand.
But then he can go 1 of 9, like against Texas. Right.
But Terrence Shannon Jr. has the ability to get to the free throw. I think that his free throw rate's way better, right? Can you double check what?
Yeah. So free throw rate for Terrence Shannon is he's an average of 7 makes for 8.7 attempts and 80% clip from the line. Dalton Connect is going to be stats. He is about 4.5 makes a game, 5.5 attempts a game, 76% clip.
Yeah, I like guys who get contact, who go into the paint, who get guys in foul trouble because it's free baskets, especially when you're an 80% free throw shooter. So again, a lot of signs are telling me Terrence Shannon Jr. is the better player right now. I know Dalton might have a better measurable as far as wingspan, people are thinking, because they look and they're like, maybe he's got a 7-foot wingspan. I don't know about that. That'll have to wait till measurements are in during the combine. But there's just a lot about Terrence Shannon Jr.'s game where I'm like, that makes me think he's going to be the better NBA player because he has more ability to draw fouls. He has more ability to get to the line. He has more ability to get points for your team.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's not as good of a catch and shoot guy, which I guess maybe that they value. Some teams might value catch and shoot from Dalton Connect over the driving and creation from Terrence Shannon Jr. But I would take the drive. I would take the guys who can attack the rim. I'll have to double check like the advanced stats for like rim percentage finishing, just to see if that kind of lines up with everything else we're saying. But just a lot of this screams Terrence Shannon Jr. might be undervalued, or people might just be like, hey, we understand he's a good basketball player. We don't know what's going to happen. His case got delayed until this, I think, summer. So we won't know until after the draft even. So a lot might hinge on that. And that's just kind of a cloud hanging over his draft stock, unfortunately. But basketball-wise, I think that his game is really good. Really
Another guy I'm going to say, and this is like a small kind of aside with the Illini.
Yep.
I've been very, very, very happy with Coleman Hawkins.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility if he plays well again. UConn's the big test. If UConn they can play, I'm not talking about win. If they could just play well against UConn and make it a game, don't lose by 20.
Don't lose by 20.
And if he carries that into the combine, shows some things like I'm now looking at Coleman Hawkins like, man, if you show this, maybe you could be a second round prospect at your peak of high. Yeah. Ideally, probably could go undrafted or like get a G League contract. But like, I look at him, it's like, if I get this small sample size for the rest of your time and then get that at the combine and do well at the combine, like he could be the second round pick everyone thought he was going to be.
I think the only, there's a couple of drawbacks to his game, but there's a lot of things that bring you a lot of encouragement because he's a college player who I think for 3 years now, people have kind of looked at as like a prospect since his sophomore year, really. And he's come out in the combine twice already, maybe just once. But he's 6'10", maybe 6'9". We'll see, without shoes. We could double check his measurements. I'm sure probably out there, but he shoots some threes. He shoots them consistently well since this. I want to say like conference play started. He started slow, but he also started without Terrence Shannon Jr. on getting minutes out there too. So it was a combo of things. But really, it's the fact that he's a true 4 or a small 5 whose rebounding rate and not switchability are 2 red flags. Like, I get it offensively. Illinois plays him with him out, take advantage of the spacing. That is kind of what helps make Terrence Shannon Jr. able to do what he can do because you can play with Coleman Hawkins out on the paint and stretch the floor open, stretch the defenses. But his rebounding rate is not great for his size, and he also cannot switch on to anyone smaller than him. He doesn't have fast enough hips to keep up with guys who are coming off of picks and swaps. He needs to keep working on it. But like, he could take it 2 routes. He could slim down and try to get more agile, or he could bulk up and play a small ball 5 and be, try to be that like Bobby Portis role, someone like that. I mean, he doesn't have the bag that Bobby does. Bobby is just fantastic, but like, he could be a bench scoring, like a worse version of Naz Reid, that may be something along those lines. But the point is, right now, 50 through 58, sure. Undrafted, absolutely could see that happen, but he would get an invite. I think a lot's going to come down to like what he measures in at, like how much has he improved? Because we saw the streaks of like him being like a playmaker, and that is tantalizing. Yeah, seeing someone with his size being able to pass, it gets GMs going. You know what I mean? What do you think about that? Do you think that he could be like a bench secondary creator, like not even the bench point guard, but like on top of having a bench point guard, you have like a second guy who creates for people? Do you think that he might be able to do that role?
He's the guy to me that he is exactly what you see. He plays off of Terrence Shannon Jr. Terrence Shannon Jr. is the one. He plays off that, and it's like, I can't remember what player it is in my head to where it's like the focus is all on the number 1. He does most of the scoring. I can do that too, but it allows me to do other things. Go out there and focus on some defense. But like the defense he was playing against Iowa State, like there was a play very late where it's like So Terrence Shannon Jr. stole the ball, tipped it ahead, fast break, jammed it. Iowa State went to pass it in, and Coleman Hawkins out of nowhere just came in and was like, I'm going to try to take it. And I'm like, what do we do? Like where this, I have not seen this all year to where it's just like, could he, realistically, he plays off of whether it's second unit, first unit, he plays off of the main scorer.
Yep.
Does like facilitates in other ways. Like where can I fit in? Whether that's deep, like he's not going to do anything elite. He's not elite in anything.
Right.
But I hate to say it. I think the biggest thing is in the NBA, can he develop like we've been saying for about 3 years now?
I mean, if we're talking about like an eighth man, ninth man,
probably low on the rotation.
Man, you need to be able to bring some elite skill. And as a 6'10" guy who can shoot threes at a high clip, there's some value there. Now you add on a little passing on top. Great. If he could hustle and, take care of some rebounding concerns, if he could, work, like I said, work on the pliability, get the hips going. Can he handle a switch? If the defensive intensity picks up that, I'll take that. There's a lot of things that would help him get on the floor. But right now, I think he's like a G League year away from seeing where he'll land on an NBA. Like if he can show enough in that 1 year to hit an NBA roster. I pray.
So you're saying like a Sonogo year.
Yeah. And Sonogo was like one of the best college players, but he's also 6'9".
Yeah.
Has not shown the 3-point shot yet consistently in college, or had not shown it in college. So I think that the big deal is Coleman Hawkins' 4 game right now in college. If he can translate that to the NBA,
Dave, I'm going to kick this to you. Who is one guy? I chose Illinois, so I really got 2. You could take 2 if you want. Who are some players, 1 or 2, that you've been like, you know what? I like what you've done in March. You're probably moving up on my draft board.
Moving up on the board.
Or moving down if you want to be negative. I thought we were going to keep it positive, but it's up to you. You can go negative. Who's been a stinker?
Shocker, Dave goes negative. Well, I already talked about, the downside of the 1 game for Reed Shepherd, Dillingham, Edwards getting stuffed by a rim was a bad look. That game was just tough. It was a tough watch all around.
Stuffed by a rim.
He did. He took it up hard. He just front rim. Just that's so bad. No, we'll keep positive. Let's go to Marquette. Team's still in it. Team's still playing for the life right now.
They're down by 8 right now.
4.5 minutes left. Com Jones has been great, and now tonight he is 4 of 12. Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough look from a guy who I have mocked very high because I really believe in him. But he had a bad night every once in a while.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Tyler Kolek.
He's played very well.
Came back from an injury, right back to being Tyler Kolek again. Absolute dog, attacking teams who are much worse than him. He finishes so well going left. Like, it is just butter. He's the
anti-Jaylen Brown?
He does this little flick with the wrist. He does a flick of the wrist as he goes up to the rim. It's hilarious.
Oh, it makes sense now, Dave.
What?
Tankathon has him mocked to the Celtics at 30. It makes sense. Pair him up with Jaylen Brown.
One goes right, one goes left.
One goes right, one goes left. You cover the deficiency.
Genius. That's some genius shit right there. Oso's honestly been like a nothing. Can I say that?
Go ahead. You can say whatever you want.
So we got the positives of Kolek. We got the really hot games from Cam into a really bad game. If they lose this one, that's I mean, shooter's gonna shoot.
I mean, let's be honest. It's also looking like DJ Horn of the Wolfpack is going off.
Yeah, he's been having a great tournament actually, all around. But like, also Iguodala is kind of faded in the background of this team. I know he does the little things. He sets the screens. He rolls well. He does good actions off ball. He passes well. Like he does the little things great. None of the sexy. Guess what helps you get your draft stock up? Anything that looks good, and that's the problem with him right now. I feel like he's fallen out of the first. I think that his skill set unless he was going to be like we talked about, he's a 6'8", 6'9" kind of guy. You have to show an elite skill to stay on the court as a center with that skill set. And I don't think he's done that. I don't think he's got the passing. He doesn't have the rim protection. He doesn't have he's a switchable 6'9" guy, sure, who can rebound well and who can set some picks. But I think I'm just missing it at this point with him. I think he's fallen. He's out of my first round clearly.
Well, and it's like I even look at yet again, the game is going on.
Yeah.
As we're recording, obviously, but I even look at his stats in this game going up against a DJ Burns, who is not a pro prospect. He's a big boy for the Wolfpack, loves his ice cream.
He is a thick.
But like you look at that and it's like, yeah, you got 8 rebounds, which is your bright spot. But like so far he's 2 of 5, only has 6 points. Like, except for those 8 rebounds, it's like, all right, I guess you've kept Burns to 4 points, but he's only taken 4 shots. So like,
again, gotta watch. We'll have to go back and look at the game after. But like,
yeah, it's
just from someone who everyone was looking at last year is like, man, him and his teammate who came out. No. The one who came out, who went to the Mavs, who's been off their bench and in the G League a bunch this year. So wing out of Marquette. And I can't remember his name.
I gotcha.
I'm usually amazing at names.
Oliver
me and names.
Oliver Maxis Prosper.
Omax.
Yeah.
Omax, baby.
I got you.
They were both in the comments. People were like, both of them should come out right now. This is great. And then it turns out Omax came out because he got like promises and like, hey, we want you. We think you're a great, talent, huge up and coming like wing. And Oso went back to college and Oso has not shined as much as you'd like to see out of a polished upperclassman. Let's put it that way. So I think it's like a mixed bag tourney for Marquette. Kolek good. Com Jones had a really hot, 8-game stretch into a really bad stinker in their last game. Oso Iguodala is kind of fallen out of favor. He might be a mid-second. That's my early take. I'll have to watch. I haven't seen this game, but I've seen all the others.
Do you have any other people that like? Because all the other guys that like, it stinks that like Golke, Newton from Alabama. There's what's his name? Grant Foster, the kid from the Antelopes in Grand Canyon. He was very well and like. There's guys that I've seen that's like, wow, they've played really well, but it's like, oh, they're not going to be NBA pro. Like for example, like there's the guy for NC State, the last 2 games now, kind of a little non-stat worthy, but like his first game, that Ben Middleton guy.
Oh
like, like he looks to me, not play style. I'm talking like actual look. He looks like little Brolo out there. Like tall white guy who rebounds, shoots from the outside, like getting down and dirty for the Wolfpack. But like, it stinks how it's like there's a lot of these guys where it's like, oh, you played very well, but okay, you're not going to the draft.
I'd say Sheed out of Houston has been past every eye test, every single eye test out there. We'll need to keep working on a shot. He's a small guard, but he's just an absolute dog on defense. He's a leader on that team. Love what he's doing for Houston. They got a matchup against Duke in like an hour or so, maybe half hour. That'd be great. That's a great test for both teams. Who else had interesting turns?
I'm looking by schools.
Has been decent. No complaints on Filipowski yet.
What about PJ Hall from Clemson? Because Clemson's making a run.
Yeah, but it's not
because of him.
He's not the driver.
Yeah.
He's contributing at a decent level, not the driver. Colorado, KJ Simpson, my boy, killing it. Great job. Electric finish to a game. Unfortunately for them, they ran out of gas against Marquette. But
that's the thing I'll say. You brought up Cody Williams earlier. The one thing I was going to say about Colorado, the thing that's hurt Cody Williams in my mind is not just the injury thing like you mentioned. It was that the play-in game and then the game against Florida, like especially those two, Tristan Da Silva and KJ Simpson were way better than Cody Williams.
They have been all year. And I've talked about this. Cody Williams off the court made Colorado a better team many points during the year. It's not never thing. Like he's a very passive player at times, and he will pass up open looks from three, very much like Stephon Castle out of UConn. And it gets you frustrated because it's like, dude, you should just be ripping on those. But he will only take the widest of wide threes, and gives you just a tell on where his confidence in his shot is right now. But yeah, De Silva's been great. De Silva's bumped up his draft stock from like a mid 2 to like a late 1 maybe. KJ Simpson I still love. I think he should go in the first. Let's see, going down to the bottom half of the brackets.
I don't know if you mentioned this already, but I need it on recording so people can come back to it. I need this because of the progression and the growth of Dave as a person.
Okay. Let's do it.
Dave, Jacoby Walter, is he winning your heart? Is he winning your heart?
Jacoby Walter is no longer totally in the doghouse.
You knew exactly where I was going with this.
I did, because the other guy's team isn't even in the tournament because they stink. Yeah. And you know why they stink? Because he's not good enough to carry a team.
Say his name.
Look in the comment section.
Of Dave's mock draft video,
Yeah. Collier, he's not good enough to carry a team. I mean, it's just USC is a dumpster fire of an organization, but
we'll get to him next, I guess.
But Jacoby Walter, I want to give him his props. He's elite at drawing fouls. It's something that I overlooked initially. I was telling Ricky, I've been watching through the prospect glass of like, this is going to be a guy who is just a catch and shoot flamethrower for me. Like when I mocked him to the Suns, because I was like, Grayson Allen's probably going to get a bag. He's shooting 47% from three on insane volume this year. There's no way that that team will be $1 billion in debt. You know, like you just can't do it. So they need a shooter. He's a great shooter in theory at 20. Who could, you know, you can't go wrong taking him if they keep that pick. Yeah. But his ability to draw fouls is something that's really kind of changed my opinion on what he could be. Because I initially was like, oh, he's like Jordan Hawkins, you know, 2.0, just worse defense, but maybe that's like a hustle issue. Maybe he could play similar to like Klay Thompson, but like really his game has more to it than that, I think. He's not just a catch and shoot guy. His ability to get contact and to sell on that is just becoming impressive. So I'm kind of going back, not walking fully back, but I am going back to rewatch from a different perspective.
Growth has been made. It's big. Like we all grow as people.
It's part of how you frame a prospect in your mind for me is like, how do I think this guy's going to succeed at the next level? What skills do you need to do that? And can he get those? Does he have those? And with Jacoby Walter, he was a square peg round hole for me as a shooting guard, who's a catch and shoot machine, who's just going to be like JJ Redick out there, like careening off screens left and right, and taking jumpers. So, but when I look at him differently now, it's like, okay, maybe there's always upside, but when you frame him differently, I think it helps out like looking at what he could be for you at the next level from a team. So I'm saying Jacoby Walter, probably back into my lottery from 20. I think he's going to go back up to 14 plus range. So good for him. And then Isaiah Collier. Yeah, a bunch of people were confused. I didn't have him in my first round, and I'm confused why they have him in their first round. Other than the fact his name is Collier, and he came in the season with a high ranking because he played good basketball in high school. What you done for me lately? Where's your game at in college? You're not a great shooter. You're not a great passer, and you're sure as not a great defender. So we got a very strong 6'4" guard with a decent handle, not even good, a decent handle, who can drive to the rim. Doesn't have not like a 95% free throw shooter. So we just betting on the frame? Is that the rest will come in time? Maybe it will. Look, there's a lot of guys who build out their entire game after the fact, but that entire USC team is a dumpster fire. And when you can't win games with the talent that's on the team, with Johnson out there who should have been a first round talent, he's a great two-way player, and it seems like it just melted, gone, non-existent. Boogie was a great scorer in college. Couldn't win games though, apparently. Can't win games with that team.
The thing it reminded me of, Dave, and this is why I thought we'd see a little bit more fire here, Dave, from you. Dave's like, I'm confused. It reminds what they see. It reminds me of the hate I got when yet again, another 1.0 mock draft when the first mock draft, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I still don't see what everyone sees in Drake May because he I know it's NFL, but I'm still going to say it. I don't get what people like about Drake May. Drake May can't throw the deep ball. He'll throw the deep ball. His wide receiver is going to have to slow down to catch it. I had him in like the 20s, and people were like, "How is Drake May in this year at 23? He's a top 10 pick." I'm like, "No, he's not."
A lot of people.
He's not. He may be just because he has the Q and the B next to his name.
Yeah, a lot of people like him. A lot of people are saying that his team stunk and he didn't stink. Remember that year prior?
Maybe Collier. It's just because he has the U, the S, and the C next to his name. Not even a basketball school.
I think it was just because he had been ranked as the best prospect in the class for a hot minute.
And his teammate's Bronny.
His teammate is Bronny. I mean, that didn't help him this year, obviously. But like, yikes, man! I didn't even want to touch that topic. But
yeah, well, I mean, we all know about Bronny. If he gets drafted, it's because he has a father in the league.
We're full Trump hands.
He has a father.
All know about Bronny.
We all love LeBron James. Bronny is just as good. I love Bronny. Look at him over there. He's great. I love him. But like, yeah, it's just like we all know if Bronny's getting drafted this year, it's because his dad's LeBron James.
Yep.
A little bit of nepotism. A little bit, just teeny bit of nepotism. Also, as we wrap this podcast up, 124 left. I'm now watching live. NC State up by 11 with Kolek at the line.
Also, Purdue
is winning.
Might be advancing.
Yeah.
Over Gonzaga.
Dave, the one thing I was going to say about their team, and this is, dude, look at their entire stat line. By the way, they have like 4 guys in double figures. It was like spread out to where it's like Edie's got 18, Smith has 12, Lover with 10.
Edie now has 20.
Okay, now it just changed. He had 20. Yeah. Jones with 12. It's like pretty much spread out. I don't know why.
Their point guard has 15 assists. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know why anybody thought 2 things: why Marquette was going to cover, and why Gonzaga was going to cover. Because it wasn't going to happen, Dave. It wasn't going to happen.
I'm with you on Gonzaga.
Plus 5.5. Like, no, it was either going to be they win, which they weren't, or Purdue wins decisively, which it looks like.
I think we're all just betting against Purdue because, you know.
And by the way, I don't know how NC State got plus 7.5 today. Don't know how that was the line, but hey, if Vegas wants to give me money, I'll take that money each and every day. Bet a unit on plus 7.5, but then also put a unit on money line because I knew they were going to win.
Yep.
And I got Dave 50 cents. If they go to the Final Four, I make $30. That's big money right there. That's big. It's a big 50-cent bet, Dave.
It is actually a massive 50-cent bet.
If you're able to throw out massive amounts of money, it would be huge. But
that would be huge.
Hey,
guys who helped their stock out. My last guy.
Go ahead.
Series out of Alabama.
Okay.
Small guard, been a bucket for the last 10 games maybe. Kind of came out of nowhere as far because I usually write off guys who are like 6'1". Let's be honest.
He's been very good all year.
It takes a lot to be an NBA player at 6'1".
And he runs.
He has just been.
And he runs an offense where they just go.
Yep. So I could see him be a guy who busts his ass in the G League and earns a shot on an NBA roster. Gets to play some bench minutes for a team. I absolutely can see it.
But that is going to do it for the draft room. Obviously, let us know down below. Anything you think. What do you think?
Any comments from Soap?
Who is your... No, he no comments. He's there. I see one viewer, but he doesn't say anything. Who's your biggest... let's go positive. Who's the guy that's helped their stock out the most in your mind? Tell me down below in the... Well, tell us down below in the comment section. Remember, Patreon link down below. Tons of perks. Can't even list them all. We'll be here all day. Discord link, if you're not in it, join it down below. Greatest community in the universe. It is free to join. Doesn't cost a damn thing. Then you also have our social medias. Most Valuable Pod on Instagram. MVP.vids on TikTok. You got MVP_vids on X or Twitter, whatever you like to call it this way. Soapy says good episode. Thank you, Soapy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heel Talk was also a very good episode. Check out MVP Entertainment, where we have a ton of stuff like Soapy rebooking The Shield.
Ooh.
That was what he did. He rebooked the Shield. I rebooked Bailey's heel turn because it could have been a lot better than it was. But Dave and I will be back in 2 weeks. Next week, JD and I will be talking more NFL as we do our switchy thing. Thank you guys for everything you do. Dave and I, like I said, 2 weeks. We'll be back. As always, have a good day, everyone. Peace. As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.